Hi, everybody, and happy Thursday, wherever you happen to be, on this 19th of May, 2022. Peter Greenberg here with your global travel update, coming to you today from a remarkable and very cool place, Asheville, North Carolina. We're here doing some other one of my shows for PBS, but always happy to broadcast our Facebook Live wherever we happen to be. Today, we're in Asheville. Of course, you know what to do in terms of giving me all your comments. You can also email me to peter@petergreenberg.com or put them up on the screen right now. We'll be able to answer as many as we can today, but a lot of things to talk about. We have a full news show today and some anniversaries to either celebrate or acknowledge. Let's talk about a couple of things. First, it was 2 months ago, about 2 days, nearly 2 months ago, we had the crash in China of that Boeing 737-800. Some of you saw that harrowing video taken by a security camera of that plane heading straight into the ground. The Chinese are leading the investigation, but the Wall Street Journal is now reporting through their sources, probably part of the USA Go team from the NTSB, that they've been able to conclude, and I'll tell you how they got there, that it was an intentional act, more than likely a suicide. In any accident investigation, you have to painstakingly rule every single item out before you can rule any one item in. So they're already able to rule out weather. They ruled out mechanical based on the examination of the wreckage and all the other telemetry that they were getting from the plane before it impacted the ground. They were able to, rule out fuel. They were able to rule out lifestyle human factors other than what may have caused the incident in the cockpit. This plane was dropping at the rate of 22,000 feet a minute, well beyond its aerodynamic limits, and parts of the plane were flying off. But those parts of the plane that were flying off were the victim of the speed at which the plane was going, not the cause of the crash. And so they're going to issue a report relatively soon that this was an intentional act. Also, we don't know who did it, who initiated it. Was there a struggle in the cockpit? There seems to be some, at least, possible evidence that there was, because here was a plane dropping at 22,000 feet a second. That's over 700 miles an hour. When all of a sudden at the 3,000 foot level, it leveled off briefly and then went down again. Planes don't do that on their own. So we may never know exactly the dynamics here, but if you rule everything else out, one thing is left. And we'll wait for the final report. It's interesting to note that the protocol for these accident investigations is that the team leading the investigation is the accident investigation team in the country where the crash or the accident occurred. So when the Concorde crashed in Paris, it was a French team leading the investigation from their equivalent of the National Transportation Safety Board. Did other countries assist? Yes. And did the United States assist in this crash? They did, because we have a better laboratory at the NTSB headquarters in Washington to be able to examine both the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, both of which were severely damaged, but were able to give investigators at least enough clues that this is really what was probably the probable cause. We'll know more about it later, but that'll give you an idea of at least what we know so far. Moving along to another anniversary, it was, if you want to understand how young aviation is and how far we've come, think about this. Tomorrow is the 95th, only the 95th anniversary of Charles Lindbergh's flight across the Atlantic. That's right, May 20th, 1927, at about 7:20 in the morning, on a very muddy Roosevelt Field in Long Island, the Spirit of St. Louis took off in his Ryan-built airplane, and 10:24 that night, he landed at Le Bourget Field in Paris. Before he ever took off, all the press reports were calling Lindbergh the Flying Fool, and of course, we all know what they called him after he landed, a name that stuck with him the rest of his life, Lucky Lindy. 95 years ago tomorrow. Unbelievable. And see how much farther we're going to go. Some other news items this week that are important. The United States relaxing some of the Trump administration restrictions on Americans' travel to Cuba. Now, they haven't thrown open the doors completely, they haven't gone back to the original Obama rules, which were very loose or looser. But more flights will be added, not just to Havana, but to other cities in Cuba. The People to People program Education and research will now be reinstituted, and that's going to be the prelude to a much wider opening of the door for Americans to be tourists in Cuba. And I think that's a good thing. I'm not going to get political about it, but I am a big believer that travel does wonders as a powerful tool for peace and understanding. I'm not going to sing Kumbaya, nor are you, but at least you understand what's going on if you look at it historically. And we will see what happens there. Now, the other big news item, get ready. There's every reason, and we're getting signals here, that the 24-hour rule about requiring you to have a negative COVID test before coming back to the United States may be going away. My guess, I've said it all along, it'll be before June 15th. That's less than a month from now. Could even be after the Memorial Day weekend. The U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg even signaled that it was not long to live. And it's really more from being a public health issue to being an economic issue. We're talking about, 4.1 million travelers who have not come to the United States because of that rule. And that represents about $1.7 billion in revenue that U.S. businesses are not getting. And that's a low figure. So I'm reasonably confident. My intuition tells me it's going to go away. Consider the fact that in the world of reciprocity, every major European country, with the exception of one, Portugal, for reasons that nobody can understand, is not requiring a test to go there, especially if you can prove you're vaccinated. So think about that. Now, the Portugal rule is ludicrous. And I'll tell you why, because it's not uniformly enforced. I was just transferring in Lisbon to go on a flight and had to take the test. Anybody flying to Lisbon has to show the test. But if you're driving from Spain to Portugal, they don't ask. I mean, really? Nuts. Hopefully that will go away soon. But the bottom line is, at least for U.S. travelers and people coming to the United States from overseas, hopefully that 24-hour rule will be gone within the next month. Now, the other interesting item in the news is the hostile takeover bid now from JetBlue to try to take over Spirit. You may remember about 4 months ago, Spirit announced it was going to merge with Frontier. It's a merger that seemed to make sense on a lot of different levels. They fly the same kind of equipment. They're both low-fare carriers. They don't really overlap on that many routes. They could become a real low-fare juggernaut if it was done right. Obviously subject to U.S. Justice Department antitrust review. And then out of left field about a month ago, JetBlue says they want to buy Spirit. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense except for one thing. JetBlue knows to survive, it needs to scale. You can't scale without planes. And Spirit's got a lot of planes, plus a lot of planes on order that they will get before JetBlue will ever get their new planes. Now, will this survive antitrust review? Maybe not. The Justice Department is already objecting to the marketing and route alliance already formed and announced and in operation now between JetBlue and American Airlines, which is a much smaller arrangement than what JetBlue is proposing with its takeover a bid of Spirit. So right now it's a hostile takeover bid, although the Spirit board said they would review it again. Again, I would be very surprised if the U.S. Justice Department approved it. But you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained, and that's exactly the spirit at JetBlue right now, no pun intended, and we'll see what happens with that. Finally, I mentioned I'm coming to you from Asheville from a wonderful hotel here called the Aris. Used to be a bank. Now it's been converted by the Kimpton folks, part of Intercontinental Group, into a lovely hotel. But I want to share with you the mess and the stupidity of airline scheduling, not as it relates to Asheville, as it relates to everywhere in the United States. So I'm going to give you a for instance, and then we'll get to some of your questions. I'm going to give you a for instance, and you tell me if this makes any sense to you. All right? Let me take that back. I was scheduled to fly Sunday, a couple days ago, from New York's LaGuardia to the airport here in Asheville. Delta Airlines offered a nonstop flight, a flight that has basically was about an hour and 56 minutes at most. That's including push time and taxi time. Was there any weather in New York on Sunday? There was not. It was a beautiful sunny day. Was there any weather in Asheville on Sunday? Nope, beautiful sunny day. Were there operational difficulties at Delta on Sunday? Was a plane missing? Was a crew not on time? No. In fact, the plane was at the gate an hour and a half before the departure. Was the crew there? It was. So everything was in place. Were the passengers late? Nope. So guess what? We boarded the plane and we pushed back on schedule at 5 o'clock. Here's the problem. Let's go back to basic design of airports. By the way, I'm convinced from a passenger point of view, the people who build airports have never flown. From an operational point of view, the people who design airports have never run an airline. I like an airport that's designed by an airline. I like a terminal that's designed by passengers. It's not out of the realm of possibility if you believe in the thing of common sense. But I digress. Let's talk about Sunday. But before I do that, let's give an idea of the design of airports and the capacity of airports and runways. In the best of circumstances, beautiful weather, no delays, no debris on the runway, I mean, everything. The most number of planes that a runway can accommodate in any 1 hour period is about 23. Now, how did I come up with that number? Because it's a separation between takeoffs, between planes of at least 2.5 to 3 minutes. So do the math. This part I could do. So the maximum is 23 in an hour. So why are airlines allowed to schedule 35 flights at 8 o'clock in the morning, 36 flights at 5 in the afternoon? They're delusional. The airports can't handle it, even with no weather problems, nothing. They can't do it. But now the problem is compounded. Why? Because at LaGuardia, in order to get to the runway, which already can't handle that number, you have to cross another runway where planes are landing. And you have to stop short to let those planes landing, so that 3 minutes of separation becomes 7 minutes of separation. So you know where I'm going now. My flight that departed the gate at 5 o'clock actually departed LaGuardia at 7:20. The actual wait to depart was longer than the flight time to get to Asheville. Now, this was in May. We're not even in summer yet. I do not understand why the scheduling people allow this to happen, knowing full well that it's physically impossible to accommodate that many planes at those peak hours. Right? Makes no sense. And it makes no economic sense because look at the fuel burn. Right? We were there burning fuel for 2 hours. Look at crew time. We could have easily had a crew at that hour of the day go illegal on time, which would have meant going back to the gate and canceling the flight altogether. Makes no sense. So we're coming out of the pandemic, but there's been another pandemic of stupidity that predated this pandemic. We need to fix that. And I appeal to legislators not to come up with rules of re-regulation. I'm not asking for that. But why not tell airlines the following? From now on, we know that airports like LaGuardia, which are slot controlled, or Heathrow or LAX, the busy airports, all right, every airline knows you have so many flights a day you have to that airport. That's it. Now, the airport doesn't tell you the kinds of planes you can fly. They don't tell you the routes you can fly. They don't tell you anything. They can just say you got this number of flights a day. You put on there what you want. It can either be a little CRJ, or if the airport can accommodate it, a huge wide body. But let's go one step further. Let's do a random lottery and tell each airline that has that many slots, okay, you have 808, United, you have 808, American, you have 812, Delta, you have 816, etc. And if you miss that slot, you're in a penalty box. How amazingly efficient would it start to work? I think it would. And airlines would then be able to schedule honestly, because otherwise we're all delusional, sitting on the runway or on a tarmac, trying to read, chapter 9 of War and Peace and finishing the book. All right, enough said about that. Let's say hello to everybody. I'm going to start scrolling. Okay. Patrick, who's getting around, says hi from the Big Apple. We got a lot of Tanzanians saying hi today. I always love it. Good morning from Southern California, from Catherine. Okay, William's saying hi. Mercy's saying hi. Is it Demetra saying hi from Chicago? Okay. Greetings. That's me saying hi. Okay, good day, Peter from San Diego. All right, hello from Dallas, just home from Spain. Already missing it, I understand. May is a great time of the year to go to Spain, by the way. Michelle's saying hi. Moses is saying hi from Nairobi. All right. And Mercy's in Tanzania. Another T being heard from Camilla from Tucson. And more Tanzania folks. I love this. Okay. Robin DiCarlo always checks in from Williamsburg. Hello, Robin. Linda Hill from New Jersey. Colleen saying hello from Dubrovnik. You made it. All right. Oh, and you saw my travel detective segment that just ran this week on Dubrovnik. I'm glad you liked it. Did you notice in that segment, by the way, the secret we found in Dubrovnik? An amazing location in the middle of the old walled city. The most unbelievable basketball court you'll ever see. Check it out. Diane says, hello from Roseville. I'll be traveling to Asheville at the end of August. What are the best things to see and do? Well, you know what? I'll get back to you on that because we're broadcasting from here, our radio show and our television show, and it'll be on the air way before August, so you'll get a chance to see it. I will tell you, though, I'll give you a hint. For a city that only has 95,000 residents, they have 30 breweries. Da-da, do the math, but much more than that. A vibrant music scene, a vibrant art scene, great restaurants, and the architecture, which, of course, they've preserved, which is even better, and more hiking trails than about anywhere else in the United States. You want to get outside, you want baked-in social distancing, Asheville's the place. Okay. Denny is saying good evening, so that must be you're somewhere over there in the eastern part of the world. David and Annie are watching from Israel. Well, shalom. Okay, hello from sunny Reno. I haven't heard from Reno in a while. Peter's saying tuning in from Middleburg. Okay, but of course he's missing beautiful Madison, Wisconsin today, as I do every day. Okay. Here's one. Mohammed saying hello from Mafia Island in Tanzania. Some great islands in Tanzania. Of course, we've got Zanzibar, we've got Pemba, and of course, Mafia. Some great fishing there too. April saying good morning from Las Vegas. Okay, we've got historic Route 66 is in there. Okay, we've got. I'm going down here. All right, here we go. Good morning again. All right. The guerrilla tours in Rwanda. We love those. And if anybody's watching from Rwanda, say hello to the most amazing guide there, Francois. He's legendary. Okay. Someone wants to know, can I explain who has the copyright of Royal Tour? You're talking to him. These are the shows that I've produced and hosted for 22 years, and we own the copyright. Now, it's broadcast initially by PBS, and it's on the air now, as you know, and we'll be rolling out to PBS stations throughout the rest of the year. It's also available on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. But it's really, public television, but the copyright is mine. Okay, I'm going back to scroll again. Oh, we have some more people. Penang, Jews in Penang today. All right. Jews usually in Japan, I think. And Joan saying greetings from San Jose. Gina says, interesting question. I have clients quarantining in Rome just now due to a positive test, unable to board their cruise. Any experience with passengers getting a document of recovery via telemed from their physician in the U.S.? If they wait to test negative, they could be there a very long time. And the answer is yes. Telemed can be used. It's got to be, the whole idea of a self-test doesn't work. A home test works if it's supervised. So the answer is yes. Okay. Rosemary's saying hello from St. Croix. All right. Columbia, South Carolina is weighing in. Love it. All right, here we go. Stephen Graves visiting Havana. I'll put my salsa either from Kroger. Okay. By the way, if you have continued driving 2 hours from Asheville, I would have treated you to a dinner at the Marriott in Kingsport. You know what? It's amazing how close Asheville is to Charlotte. It's amazing how close it is to so many national parks, and now, of course, to Kingsport. Sorry I won't get there today, but thanks for the invitation. Tom is saying hi from Hermosa Beach. A lot of highs. Let's see if we can answer some questions here. In fact, where is is it right here? Okay. I'm going to give you the trivia question for the week. And I love this question, right? I want to just challenge you now. Which country has the most lakes? Okay, you got it? Which country has the most lakes? If you think you know, let me know. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to scroll down here. Hi, Peter from Moy. Are you going to Alaska on a cruise this year? I'm going to try to get up there in late August. But the problem with the Alaska cruises has always been you have like 39 ships at the same time going up the Inside Passage. This year, if I'm going up, I'm going to try to take one of the smaller ships that goes into the ports that the bigger ships don't go through. But I've done the other cruises. They're great. I love Ketchikan. I love Juneau. I love Seward. And of course, for those people who want to go elsewhere in Alaska, like Anchorage, can't cruise there. But keep in mind, Anchorage has got the busiest, coolest, wildest seaplane operations in the world. They're the busiest seaplane operation I've ever seen. And such a great opportunity to see that part of Alaska from there. Christopher's saying hi from Miami. Okay, hold on a second. I'm looking here. I'm scrolling back up. All right, thank you for sending me that message, Harriet and Jim, about your reimbursement. I'm onto it. Don't worry. Okay, here we go. Here's one from Tom. What's a perfect time to visit South Beach, and is it worth visiting? I'm going to surprise you. You ready? June, July, and August. That's right, when the escaped garmentos aren't there. And if you want to know what an escaped garmento is, then you haven't been to South Beach. Anyway, that's when I go. I'm a contrarian traveler. I'm an off-season guy. Vivian saying hello from Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. Betty's weighing in from Punta Gorda. Gail says, we finally got the okay from my husband's doctor to travel. We're going to Quebec City over Thanksgiving. Can't wait. You'll have a great time. I'm glad that happened for you. Okay. Here's one. Boynton Beach is weighing in. That's Debbie. San Juan Capistranos from Laura. Hello from Ann Arbor. I love Ann Arbor, although I have to tell you, I'm a Badger, went to Wisconsin. So, I could be pranking people in Ann Arbor. Okay. All right. Some of the guesses are coming in. Someone guessed Nicaragua as the country with the most lakes. I don't think so. Let's keep going here. Gail says the U.S. Not true, and that even includes Minnesota. Sorry, incorrect. All right. I'm going down for some of these guesses here. Okay. A few of you actually got it. There we go. The answer is, I'll give the credit here. Camilla got it. Rosemary got it. Let's see. 2 people got it. Robert said Finland. Wrong. Karen said Vietnam. Not even close. Chile. No. Although the Lake District out of Santiago is amazing, but that's not an answer correct. The guys who got it right, I already gave those names out. Rosemary and Camilla. I'm looking for anybody else who might have gotten it. Robin DiCarlo got it. Sue Hennepin got it. Wow. Trayvon got it. And Harvey got it because he's from that country. So you'll get some credit there. The answer is Canada. How about that? All right. I'll give you another little trivia question. It's not even a trivia question. The next time you have a map of North America, get a big map, put it on the wall, and you're gonna be blown away by a huge, large body of water that nobody pays attention to. Nobody ever goes there. I am fascinated by it. It's got such great history, and I can't wait to go back to it. But when you see how large it is in relation to the land masses that surround it, it will blow you away. It's also in Canada. It's Hudson Bay. Go look at that map, and you will be blown away by the size of that body of water. Okay, let's keep going here. I'm looking here. Still looking here. Everybody's coming in. Willie's saying hello from United Airlines 737-800 from Denver to Orlando. I'll be on my first cruise out of Port Canaveral tomorrow on the Royal Caribbean Independence of the Seas. All right, Willie, congratulations. Okay, and he's doing a smart thing. You know what he's doing? He's not flying to his port departure destination on the day of the cruise. He's going the day before. Important to do that. And by the way, if you really want to know the real answer about the lakes, Canada has, get this, 879,800 lakes. Wow. Oh boy. And the other interesting note about that is Canada not only has the most lakes, it has more lakes than the rest of the world combined. Woo! Who knew? Now you know. Okay, let's keep going here. Oh, now people are coming in with Canada. Okay, I'll give you credit. All right, now let's go to the photo of the week. You got it? Now, I have actually taken a photo just like this. I was there. This was taken by Colleen Casey. You know where it is, guys? And by the way, it always looks like this. That's how beautiful it is. It's Postcard City. That's Lake Bled. That's Slovenia. And so it's gorgeous and tranquil. And you go there early in the morning where the clouds are literally about a foot above. The mist is about a foot above the water. It's great. One thing I'll tell you, something interesting about folks in Slovenia, they have more, we talk about Canada has more lakes than anybody else in the world. Slovenia has more beekeepers than anywhere else in the world. So you're coming back with honey, whether you like it or not. And I mean, I drove people nuts. I got so much honey there because every time I stopped and said hello to somebody, they're all making honey. They're all beekeepers. And you know what? It was great. All right, let's go to some of your questions. Okay. Patricia says, what's the best travel insurance to get for a cruise? You may have seen my piece on CBS News last week. The best travel insurance to get, first of all, is not online. Number one, it's not the insurance offered by the cruise line. That's number two. You never want to take insurance offered by the travel provider because in many cases, the travel provider is self-insuring. And if they go out of business, so does your insurance. You always want to get your insurance from a third party. You can do that through a travel agent or a travel advisor. They can have a conversation with you and tell you what you're covered for and what you're not covered for. And that'll help you out. Okay? A lot of exclusions in there, but guess what? Things are getting better. They're getting better because the market realized so many people basically got hosed with the best of intentions during the pandemic, buying trip cancellation and interruption insurance that was worthless because you've heard me say this before, somewhere in the policy language, nobody ever saw it because they bought it online, was a paragraph in which there was a sentence saying, we don't cover for pandemic, see ya. Check it out now. There are now policies offered by Allianz and Travel Guard that are basically saying, if you have to cancel your trip because you've tested positive, you'll be covered. If you get tested overseas when you're out of the country and now you have to quarantine, there's a provision there to cover your expenses and get you home. Now, if you're in a $50,000 a night suite, ain't going to be covered. But there's a provision there, reasonable expenses, to get you covered and get you back home. Again, you still shouldn't buy it online. Talk to a travel agent or a travel advisor. They have to walk you through the hieroglyphics of that policy language or you're literally flying blind. Okay? Lucia says, do I fly Qatar Airlines? I do, but I should also tell you I fly every airline. I happen to love Qatar. Their route network is amazing. Their service is amazing. And their airport in Doha is beyond belief. If anybody's watching me who's actually but spent time in their business class lounge in Doha, I mean, probably you moved in. You're probably still living there. It's not a bad deal. They've gotten their act together. And look, Emirates, Etihad, and Qatar, if you look at the map, they're perfectly situated to do extreme long-haul service just about anywhere else in the world. You want to know the longest flights in the world, with maybe one exception? They're out of the Gulf. It's like Doha to Auckland, New Zealand. That's a big one. Now, there's one that may be a little longer, which is the one that's now back on the schedule, not out of Doha. It's Singapore, New York. It's about 19 and a half hours. And it's a 6-movie flight. Okay. Bennett wants to know, which airline do I think is the worst right now? How much time do we have? You know, that's like asking me which one I think is the best. I can't answer it that way. I can answer it by route, right? So what's my favorite airline to go from A to B? I can tell you. What's my all-time favorite airline to go anywhere? And by the way, that includes Qatar because I just mentioned them. I can't give you that answer. Because if their flight to Jakarta is 9 hours late every day and I'm on that flight, how does it become my favorite airline? It doesn't. You got to do it by route. Okay? All right. Gil says, I understand supply and demand, but can't believe these airfares will stick because they are unaffordable. When will prices come down? Well, I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound elitist, but bear with me on this. I know they're unaffordable to you and to most of you. But if the airlines are reducing capacity, we're going to go back to the original days of the jet age where the people who flew were the people who could afford it. It wasn't about appealing to the masses, which is what deregulation did. Right now, at least for the summer of 2022, it's not going to be pretty. The airlines are cutting capacity at a moment when demand is high. So they're going to fill the planes and they're going to get their rates. A good friend of ours, Gary Leff, who writes a wonderful column called viewfromthewing.com. You can get on it, get it every day. Great stuff in there. He's actually been on our Facebook Live a couple of times. He interviewed the head of the Delta Airlines frequent flyer program and asked them this question. I never thought he'd get this answer, but he got the answer. The question is, why are mileage redemption levels at Delta so much higher than equivalent mileage redemption levels at American or United? And you know what the answer he got was? Because we can. Because the demand is there and people are willing to do it. Wow. Got an honest answer, but not a pretty picture. So the answer to your question is, those prices are going to stay strong more than likely through the end of September. Fourth quarter, by the way, is not looking good for the airlines. We're looking at the advanced projections. That's when I think the fares will drop. That's when they seasonally drop normally anyway. But this year it might even drop more. So get ready for that. All right. Stephanie says, United is offering 70,000 bonus miles to get a credit card. Is this a good deal, or do they typically offer more miles? Well, it's not United that's offering it. It's the credit card company that's offering it. In this case, it would be Chase for United. Chase also handles Southwest. American does Citibank, and of course, Delta does American Express. American also does Barclay, their aviator card. Can I just do a sort of a little hint to the folks at American? If I take one more American Airlines flight where you're having your flight attendants walk up and down the aisle, throwing credit card applications in my face, telling me what a great deal it is, please stop that. Enough already. It's about to get worse because American's now going to give the same deal. They're going to commission, like they do the flight attendants, they're going to commission the counter agents to hawk the credit cards from Barclays. Aren't the lines for check-in long enough? Do you really want to be standing behind somebody getting a spiel for bonus miles if he signs up? Ugh, stop it. Anyway, the answer is there are other credit card deals out there that will offer you more miles. However, here's the trade-off. It's going to require a larger spend in the first 3 to 6 months of having the card to get those bonus miles. And then, of course, you have to redeem them. The problem right now is the available miles to redeem are huge. The available tickets to redeem are getting smaller by the hour because as airlines cut capacity, all they want to do is sell you a revenue ticket. So their incentive of giving you a so-called free ticket is getting diminished by the hour. So I've said this before. I'm going to say it every week until you listen to me. If you've got miles lying around, forget the summer. Start about 90 days from now and think 330 days out. Pick a place that your airline or its strategic marketing partner flies to that none of your friends want to go to. You don't need them anyway, and redeem those miles. The longer you wait to redeem those miles, the more devalued they are and the more worthless they become. I like to joke that if you wait long enough, you should just go to an art supply store, get a frame, and hang them on the wall. The airlines can do this under their rules. They're under protection from deregulation. There is no state entity or federal entity that can regulate the airlines operating of their mileage programs, which are doing a great benefit to the airlines. They make more money for the airlines than the airlines make as airlines, but so much for loyalty programs that don't reward you for your loyalty. It's getting to a tipping point, and the summer is going to prove it. When people want to redeem their miles, and it's either going to cost them 3 times what they thought it was going to cost them, or they can't get the ticket anyway. So take my advice, think 90 to 330 days out, and go redeem them now. Sorry for the cough. Okay, you got that? Okay. Now, Donna says, can you speak to how Southwest Airlines is about to change its planes? Well, Southwest announced last week they're going to spend about $2 billion for a major refurbishing program for their airplanes. Most of that is not going to be what you think. It's going to recognize our changes in behavior, meaning they're going to put, USB and charging stations or plugs at seat rests or seat backs so that you can charge your phones and your laptops on the flight. That's one. They may actually do something to improve their food service, which, by the way, let's face it, it's not really food service, although they are offering a little bit more of a modified food service on their truly long-haul flights like to Hawaii. But they're going to improve the seating a little bit. They're going to improve the electronics and maybe the in-flight entertainment. Because as you can see, if you look at their schedule, they're starting to do some more long-haul flights. All right, let's keep going. Tanya says, at least American is still serving Biscoff cookies. Yeah, and Delta's gone back. You get 2 in the pack now. We like that. Okay. Here we go. Ted wants to know when's the best time to buy fourth quarter airline tickets. Right now, because you're about 60 days to 90 days out, right? Okay. Here we go. I mentioned Allianz changing their policy. Gina says, my 2 clients stuck in Rome, we talked about that earlier in the show, have the Allianz policy. You require them to get it, you say. And their expenses are being covered up to $500 per day, lodging and meals, plus flight change costs up to a maximum of $15,000. It's a huge peace of mind. Let's hear it for Allianz. They changed. It wasn't always the case, but now they're changing. Okay. Okay, I'm looking. Rosemary says, I flew business class in October 2021 on Qatar to Dubai. Awesome. It was. It is. Okay. All right. A lot of people like your photograph, Colleen, of Slovenia. And one more thing, we mentioned a piece that just ran on Dubrovnik. Travel Detective Season 7 is on the air. So check your local stations, PBS, of course. It's also available on Amazon Prime. 8 new episodes from all over the world. I hope you enjoy them. We've been running some clips on our website, but if you can't do that, access it on PBS. And if you can't access it on PBS, it's Amazon Prime. Of course, Royal Tour of Tanzania is still playing everywhere and rolling out to many more stations throughout the rest of the summer and into the fall. And if you can't find a local PBS station, that's easy. You go to Amazon Prime or Apple TV Plus, and you'll see Tanzania, the Royal Tour, with President Samia Suluhu Hassan and me. Okay. I'm looking to see if we got any more. Great question from Karen. And you know what? We're going to research that. I happen to think you might be right. Remember, we said Canada has the most lakes. Karen Lynn says, does that mean Canada has the most mosquitoes? Probably. Okay. I love that. Okay. Tony says, I'm going to Paris in June. I'm not a contrarian. Anything I should avoid? Well, look, if you're going to go to June, just check the dates of the French Open because Paris gets a little crowded then. But other than that, I love Paris in June. Guess what? I'll be in Paris in June. In fact, we'll be broadcasting from there. So maybe we'll see you. Okay. Okay. Rosemary says, I've been to part of Hudson Bay. At the bottom in James Bay at Moose Factory. You have to tell me more about that, Rosemary. Okay. A few more questions here from you guys. Of course, some housekeeping notes as well. Anything we missed today, you can always email me to peter@petergreenberg.com and we'll answer it either online or on the air. Our show airs this Saturday. I'm not going to tell you where, just going to have to tune in. It starts at 10 o'clock in the Eastern time zones. Of course, it's reachable always also online. You can go to our website with the imaginative name, petergreenberg.com. We stream it live every Saturday starting at about 10:05 a.m. Eastern time. If you miss it, there's the podcast that's also available immediately thereafter as well. And of course, I just mentioned it, Travel Detective. It's going to be on the air right now, season 7. And of course, Tanzania, the Royal Tour. I'll be flying out of Asheville later tonight. Hopefully not too much later tonight. And I'm not flying to LaGuardia. So maybe I've got a shot. Maybe I've got a shot. But if you've not been to Asheville, it deserves a shot. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, my experience in North Carolina 20 years ago was I was running from bacon, if you know what I mean. Now it's fine dining. It's really artisanal cuisine. There are great cheesemakers here. There are great winemakers here, great art galleries, great music scene. And, oh yeah, I almost forgot. If you're going to be in the San Francisco area this weekend, my assistant Anthony just put this in front of me to remind me, I'll be speaking at the Travel and Adventure Show in Santa Clara, both on Saturday and Sunday at the Convention Center, part of the Travel and Adventure shows that we've been doing all around the country and answering your questions there as well. So check out the website for them, which is called travelandadventureshows.com. You'll find out what time I'm speaking on both Saturday and Sunday mornings. I hope I'll see you there. But I'll see you on the radio on Saturday as well. In the meantime, have a great rest of the week. And if you go to LaGuardia, try to remind them to design an airport that people can actually use. It may be new, it may be gleaming, it's inefficient, it's congested. And remember what Joe Biden said? He likened it to a third world airport. When he did that, you know what he was really doing? He was insulting a lot of third world airports. That's all I got to say. All right. Have a great week, guys. I'll see you next week.
This week on The Travel Detective, it's got one of the most beautiful views of the Adriatic Sea, complete with a rich history, both for scholars of the past and current streamers. This Croatian city has weathered its share of war and remembrance, and that history is still being written. I'll share with you some of my hidden gems of Dubrovnik. That's our cover story.
Plus, people around the world seem to share one thing in common: the desire for a better future. However, this hope is often filled with uncertainty. So get ready. I'll show you which countries are the most pessimistic. And then, French Lick, Indiana is where NBA legend Larry Bird grew up, but it's also home to an amazing hotel with a past, dating way back to the 1800s. I'm Peter Greenberg. All this and more on the next edition of The Travel Detective on PBS. Check your local listings.